one there is verbal or oral presentation. She can decide to make use of this kind of a presentation. It refers to the spoken word. It is the most common means of sharing business information. This one is very, very common, and sometimes you can even get immediate feedback, can be given or received when you present orally. Voice may be too soft, possible language barrier. This can also happen if the language is not so good. So remember, when she was preparing herself, she must also make sure that the language is very, very important, and she must inquire the presentation, should it be made in English or in a particular language. So language is also important, and if you make use of this kind of a presentation, sometimes language can be a barrier. Negative environmental disturbances, outside noise, restless targets, and so on. It depends on the circumstances. If the presentation is done outside, this can also affect her presentation because it's verbal, it's oral, and what is happening outside may affect her and so on. So before she decides that I'm going to make use of a verbal or oral presentation, she must take into account these points that I've made her aware of. Of course, any other relevant answer that you might have included in your answer, in as far as oral or non-verbal, oral or verbal presentation is concerned. And then the second kind of presentation she can choose from is non-verbal. Non-verbal, for example, things such as posture. She can communicate a variety of messages, e.g. standing upright. It usually conveys the message that you are self-confident and positive on. Facial expressions, very, very important. Looking at the ceiling combined with a series of expressions often communicate a different message. It says, even facial expression is very, very important. She must prepare herself in a manner that she will be able to face the audience. And facial expression is another non-verbal kind of presentation method that can also assist her. Eye contact usually improves communication. When she presents, she must make sure that she maintains the eye contact, because this is non-verbal also. Gestures, your hand and body movement conveys a specific information to others. So she must also be careful of gestures. Cultural differences may result in a different interpretation of the information. This one, it depends. And of course, body language may prevent or promote effective communication, because these are non-verbal kind of stuff that she would use when she is presenting. She has to be very careful. And of course, any other relevant information that you might have also included that relates to non-verbal presentation would also be relevant. She can also decide to make use of a PowerPoint, make use of technology, graphic programs, have the ability to convey ideas and support what the presenter says. It is simple, less cluttered slides may capture the interest of the audience. With PowerPoint, she must come up with very simple and not cluttered slides, not putting too much information on slides. Video clips can provide variety and capture the attention of the audience. It depends. If she wants to make use of video clips in the PowerPoint presentation, she can do that. Variation of color and background immediately capture the attention of the audience and retain their interest throughout the presentation. She can, make her presentation, PowerPoint presentation, colorful and so on. But this is also another method of presentation she can choose from. Unprofessional handling of PowerPoint presentation material can lead to irritation or may result in the audience losing interest. This is also, a point for caution, that if her PowerPoint is not professionally prepared and it's not professionally handled, that may also affect her audience or even the panel, like she's going to present to a panel. Less effective to to people with audio-visual impairments. So this kind of presentation, if you are presenting to people who have got difficulty with visual images and so on, like people who have got problems with eyesight and so on, this kind of presentation will not assist. So she'll have to weigh up her options. Simply reading off the slides makes a presentation boring and meaningless. If she's going to make use of this kind of a presentation method, she must make sure that she's not simply going to read from slides. She must engage. She must, pause slides and make sure that she takes people through the slides gradually, and she engages with her slides, because that would make her presentation very, very interesting. And of course, any other relevant answer that you might have also included relating to PowerPoint presentation would also be relevant. She can decide to make use of graphics or visuals. Graphics include tables, graphs, line graphs, pie graphs, histograms, bar graphs, column graphs, and so on. It makes it easier to understand concepts that are presented. Keeps the audience focused. It can keep the audience focused. It is simple and clear graphics, visual, make it easier to understand and follow the presentation. So she can also decide on this, or she can make a combination of all of these methods. This kind of presentation, it enhances the quality of presentation. It is very useful when presenting financial information to management. Not all people have the same understanding of graphics and visuals, so she'll have to be very careful also that not all people have the same understanding. And even when it comes to graphics, I'm now referring to the second bullet, which says too much graphics may lead to confusion. She must make sure that whatever graphic material she presents is very straightforward and simple and easy to understand, because otherwise that may also end up misleading the audience or the panel itself. And of course, any other relevant answer relating to graphics or visuals would also be relevant. She can also decide to make use of this kind of method, written information or reports or manuals or notices. This type of presentation is based on feedback from research, investigation, and survey. Reports in printed form may be distributed to all participants. She can come up with her own report and distribute it to the panel and so on. Accurate information or reports may result in better decision making. Organized information can save reading time, so she'll have to also look at that one. Written information or reports must be relevant to the target or to the audience. Reports containing long sentences, poor language, may also make it difficult for readers to understand the content. Reports, manuals that do not meet the delegates' needs may be irrelevant or even meaningless. Of course, any other relevant answer relating to written reports would also be acceptable. She can decide to make use of this kind of presentation also, which is electronic. It includes faxes, videos, conferencing, telephonic conferencing, emails, Twitter, Facebook pages, website, and so on, even e-commerce. Information reaches its target users quicker. Transaction meeting time may be reduced. It may lead to corruption if, of course, not well handled. And, fraudulent transaction, and here we are referring to business instances. However, electronic presentation can also assist her. This kind of presentation, the target audience may not be familiar or be able to use new electronic communication technology, so she'll have to be very careful if the audience is familiar also with new electronic communication technology. The target audience also may not have access to electronic technology. Any other relevant answer related to the evaluation of electronic presentation would also be acceptable. So as you can see, every method has got advantages and disadvantages, and you are expected also to point out the advantages and the disadvantages of each and every, because the question simply said, advise her on the methods of presentation she can choose from. So it's open. You know, you must discuss them in detail